What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 259, Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, and we have 3 title fights as well. And honestly, this fight card is stacked from top to bottom. I really don't see one bad fight on this card. Lots of exciting fights, lots of great matchups, lots of big names as well. It should be fun. It should be fun from a DraftKings perspective, going from 9 fights last week, everybody sharing that optimal lineup, to 15 fights this week. So I think the winners maybe take it down solo this week. I mean, 15 fights, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to take down that first place prize and not share with many people, especially as like last week where there were only 9 fights and a ton of ties for first place. So looking forward to that. Before we get into it, if you can leave a like on the video, subscribe if you have not yet, would really appreciate that a ton. Almost to 10K subs. And if you do want extra content, I do have a Patreon. You can sign up below. Great affordable prices there for you guys to try to make it the lowest prices possible and provide the best content possible. There you get my fighter stats. You get the model with all the stats for each fighter, my targets, my projections, my cash lineup optimizer, my lineup percentages, access to Discord, my DraftKings article, and many more stuff. Lots of stuff on there, lots of great value. So the link will be in the description for that. But with that said, I'm going to be doing the DraftKings contest. As always, it is a pay-per-view. It is a big card. To enter that contest, first, leave a like. Second, subscribe if you have not yet. And then third, comment down your DraftKings username. Going to limit it to the first 200 people. It is a big card, so we'll do $225 to first place. And if you already commented on my prediction video, no need to on this video. I'll be getting them all in when I get time. So with all that out of the way, let's break down this card from a DraftKings perspective, starting with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. Up top, the most likely to end inside the distance is going to be the co-main event, which is Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. And yeah, I do see this finishing. It's just, when does this finish, whether it is early or whether it is late. I'm definitely on the Nunes side here. She is the most expensive on the card, and we'll kind of get into it a little bit more, but I like Nunes. Not going to have much of Megan Anderson, but I will say if Anderson wins, it's going to be by knockout. But then again, it's just not all that likely to happen in my opinion. Next, we have Uros Medic versus Alon Cruz. This is interesting. Minus 245. Fight doesn't go to decision, so the second most likely to end inside the distance. So I do want exposure to this fight, and kind of leaning both sides here. Medic is somebody that, a lot of question marks with the guy fighting out of the Alaskan fight scene. He is training with Kings MMA as of now, but this dude has 6 fights. He's been to the second round 1 time. And in that second round fight, ended in like the first 30 seconds of that second round. So lots of question marks from the Medic side. He is a finisher, 100% finish rate. We have seen Alon Cruz finish before as well. And we'll kind of dig more into it as we go through the video, but kind of split both sides in this fight. I'm going to have a decent amount of both, but I do know I want exposure to this fight because I think there's a really good chance that it does finish either way. All right, Alexander Rakic versus Thiago Santos. If Thiago Santos wins, it's going to be by knockout. If Rakic wins, it could be by knockout. It could be by a decision. But I think this is another fight you're going to want to target both sides. If Santos wins, it could be a finish, which at 7,600 where he's at, it could definitely pay off, could find the optimal lineup. If Rakic wins, I think there's multiple paths for him scoring well, whether it is maybe knocking out Santos on the feet, or even what I think is going to happen is, Rakic taking down Santos, using that ground game of his, and probably finishing him on the mat as well. So I do want both sides here. Both guys are very dangerous. But I do lean towards the Rakic side at 8,600, but we'll talk about, Santos at 7,600 as being a pretty decent value dog there. Carlos Ulberg versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Yeah, this is more of a fade on Kennedy here for me. Just not all that impressed with the guy. Carlos Ulberg only has 3 fights, MMA fights, one of those being in 2011. Some sketchy competition, but he has a very good kickboxing background, and that's why we're seeing him as such a big favorite here. I do think he's going to be the better striker. I do worry about the ground game, but in this matchup, we're really not going to worry about that. It's just, does he finish Kennedy Nzechukwu? Maybe. Kennedy has been submitted before and never been knocked out, but I do think he's going to be the much better striker in this matchup. So I do lean towards the Ulberg side. Don't know if I'll get to Kennedy all that much. He's a big dude. He's going to have about a 1-inch height advantage, a 6-inch reach advantage, but it doesn't look like he carries all that much power or speed or really any of that. I think Ulberg's a better fighter there. And then Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. Kind of struggling with this fight, whether I think it does finish or go to decision. Jan Blachowicz in 35 fights has only been knocked out once by Thiago Santos. Is Israel Adesanya's power going to translate up to the 205-pound division? And Adesanya is talking about coming in here weighing significantly less than the 205. pound limit there. So I'm curious to see if Adesanya is going to carry that same power and, factored in with the Blachowicz chin. I'm not sure if Adesanya is going to be able to get Blachowicz out of there. And even then, like we see with the new DraftKings scoring system, it's favoring these wrestlers, it's favoring these grapplers. And we saw last week where Alexis Davis, barely did anything in that fight. She scored 96 DraftKings points. So I don't see Adesanya taking Blachowicz, obviously. I don't see much control time from Adesanya. So we'll talk about it more. I'm just not sure if Adesanya is going to be able to knock him out. And I think if this fight does finish, I'm kind of leaning towards, Blachowicz getting the finish, if anything. So I am picking Adesanya to win. I'm picking him to win by decision. Will that translate to DraftKings points? Not so sure there. But yeah, kind of a tough fight to call. Does he finish Blachowicz or not? I'm pretty high on the Adesanya side. I just don't know if he's going to get the finish there. All right, so we'll get into our core plays here. Number 1, we have Amanda Nunes. Yes, she is the most expensive. Yes, she is $9,600, but I am going to be all over it. I do think she'll carry some ownership because she is a huge name, obviously, a minus 1,400 favorite. Easily the best inside the distance prop at like minus 400 just about. And I do think she finishes Megan Anderson. I think she finishes her pretty quick, honestly. And we have seen that her last 2 fights have went to decision against Felicia Spencer and against JDR, but Anderson, somebody that in her last 7 out of 8 fights have all hit the under 1.5. Anderson is somebody that went out there and got submitted by Felicia Spencer in that first round. We saw what Amanda Nunes did to Felicia Spencer there, dominated her from pillar to post. So I like Nunes. I think she's better everywhere, and she's better everywhere by a significant margin. The only thing I'll give Anderson is she's going to have a height advantage. She's going to have a reach advantage. But other than that, like Nunes is better everywhere. So I like Nunes here. I think the easiest path to victory is taking down Anderson, and honestly, if she takes down Anderson, I think the fight's going to be over shortly after. Nunes has a very, very good ground game, and 9,600, I do think she pays it off. Whether it is taking her down, getting a ton of top control, getting a ton of takedowns, we saw Amanda Nunes put on an absolute clinic on DraftKings against Felicia Spencer. I don't see this fight going to decision. I see Nunes getting the finish. At 9,600, I went through, I messed around, making lineups. You can make any lineup you want. I mean, there's so much value plays. There's so many guys in the low 8,000s. There's so many great underdogs that you can pretty much play any lineup you want. And I do think that I'll have Amanda Nunes in the majority of my lineups there. So next, going into the next 4 play, we have Tim Elliott, 8,200. This is kind of an upside play. I think that there's a lot of upside with Tim Elliott here, and just the style that he brings. He's going to bring a lot of volume. He's going to bring a lot of takedowns as well. And I know that Espinoza does have a 90% takedown defense, but just going through his record, a lot of guys aren't really trying to take him down outside of like a Mark De La Rosa try to take him down. And, we all know Mark De La Rosa is not the best wrestler in the world at all. But as far as Tim Elliott goes, he's a very good wrestler, averages about 4 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 48% accuracy. I do think as well, if Tim Elliott's able to get down Jordan Espinoza, we've seen Espinoza get submitted twice in the UFC and pretty easily as well. Espinoza has been submitted 4 times, so I would not be completely shocked if Elliott went out here, got takedowns, got the sub. Of course, on the feet, he's going to be at a disadvantage here, but I really do think he'll come in here with the game plan of taking down his opponent, Espinoza, and getting control time, and then possibly finding the sub as well. So I like Tim Elliott a lot. I know it's hard to trust the guy. He's getting up there in age, 34 years old, but it's really hard to ignore the upside he brings, especially from a DraftKings perspective, and especially with the new DraftKings scoring system as well. Islam Makhachev, speaking of the new DraftKings scoring system, this is somebody that's definitely going to benefit from it. He's going to come out here. He's going to get takedowns. He's going to get control time, possibly find a submission as well. Makhachev is somebody that, thus far in his UFC career has averaged about 3.5 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 68% accuracy, which is fantastic. 93% takedown defense himself. Drew Dober with a 58% takedown defense. He has struggled with guys taking him down. Dariush took him down a couple times. Alexander Hernandez took him down a couple times. And Dober in his career has been submitted 3 times as well. So I wouldn't be completely shocked if Makhachev found the submission. And yes, he is very expensive. I don't think he's going to be crazy low owned, but with this new DraftKings scoring system, I see a ton of takedowns. I see a ton of control time. And I think out of anybody on this card, really, I think Makhachev benefits from the new scoring system, more than anybody in the slate. So I will have a decent amount of Makhachev. I'm 100% playing him in cash. I will have him in some tournaments as well just because of that grappling upside. I think he's safe outside of Dober knocking him out, but even then, I don't think Dober's going to have many opportunities because I think Dober's going to be on his back for the majority of this fight. So give me Makhachev, 9,400. I think it's safe, cash viable in tournaments as well. Alexander Rakic, 8,600. Yeah, kind of a dangerous fight here for him, but this is a fight that is probably going to finish. I do think he's better, realistically everywhere outside of the power advantage for Santos. Clear path to victory, take down Santos, and get him out of there on the mat. If he does stand with Santos, it's going to give Santos an opportunity to possibly clip him. Rakic was hurt and dropped by Devin Clark, which is a bad sign there. But I just think Rakic is going to come in here, fight smart. He did it in his last fight against Anthony Smith. Went out there, took down Smith, dominated him throughout that fight. And I think he's going to do the same thing here to Santos, probably get a finish on the mat. And I do think he's another guy that can benefit from the scoring system of getting takedowns, getting top control, and probably getting the finish as well. At 8,600, I don't hate that whatsoever. On the flip side, we'll talk about in a little bit, but Santos is a guy that is always going to have a puncher's chance. He's somebody that hits extremely hard, and I wouldn't be completely shocked if Santos won. But I like Rakic here. I think he's the better fighter overall. He's going to be the younger fighter by like 8 or 9 years. So yeah, give me Rakic here for the win. All right, getting into our GPP plays here, our tournament plays. We have Uros Medic, 8,900. I don't really know how I feel about this one, but I do think this is a fight you're going to want to target. He is somebody that has not seen the third round. He's not seen a decision. He's somebody that has a 100% finish rate. And we did see Alon Cruz get finished very early against Spike Carlisle in his last fight. We have seen Alon Cruz finish in all 3 of his losses as well. So I do think this is a fight that finishes. I think this is a fight that is important. I will have both sides. There are some question marks with Uros Medic coming off that Alaskan fight scene, not seeing a third round, barely seeing a second round. So kind of intrigued by that, but I do think if he wins, it's probably going to be early. So for that reason, 8,900, I like it quite a bit just due to the fact that he has first round knockout potential. Going down a little bit, Petr Yan, 8,400. Yeah, I mean, this is such a tough fight to call for me, the title fight with Yan and Sterling. But I will say this, I think this fight's going to score well. I do think you're going to want some ownership to either side here. I'm really split on it, but I do like the savings on Sterling. You're getting a $600 savings on a fight that is lined a straight pick'em. So as far as a DraftKings standpoint, I'm probably leaning more towards the Sterling side as a straight-up pick, maybe Yan. But even then, I don't have a great read on this fight. But I do think that both guys are going to be throwing a ton of volume. Yan averages 6.32 significant strikes landed. Sterling averages 4.82 significant strikes landed. So a lot of volume from both sides. Sterling has some good wrestling as well. I think if there's takedowns on either side, they're more likely to come from the Sterling side. But Yan said it himself that he may even come out here and get takedowns, which I don't think is the best path to victory for him. But overall, I see this fight scoring very well either side. I actually don't hate the stack in cash for this one. I see it maybe going 5 rounds or at least into the later rounds there, racking up a ton of volume either side. Don't know if we'll see much takedowns or top control, but I think the significant strikes are definitely going to be enough to hit value either side and maybe even smash value if there is a lot of significant strikes, especially going into the 4th or 5th round, which I do expect. So I like Yan. I'm not comfortable with, locking him in a ton of lineups, but I will be split on this fight as I do think it's 50-50, and I do think that the pick'em line on the money line is definitely correct there. It's a tough fight to call, but I will have a lot of exposure on DraftKings with both sides. Israel Adesanya, 9,200, so kind of struggling here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with Adesanya as of yet because I do think this goes into the later rounds. I don't think that Adesanya is going to finish Blachowicz early. At least I don't think. I mean, Blachowicz is somebody that's extremely durable and finished once in 35 fights. Is that power going to translate up to the light heavyweight division for Adesanya? I'm not sure. I can see this kind of being like a boring fight, like the Yoel Romero fight, where both guys really have respected each other's power. A lot of nothing in that fight. 2 counter punchers. I can kind of see something like that. But Adesanya is going to bring the more volume here. He's going to be the more active fighter. He's going to be the much faster fighter by a huge margin. I do like Adesanya to win, but 9,200, with plays up there that I like Amanda Nunes, like Islam Makhachev, it's really hard for me to get up there. But I will have a little bit as of now. But I also don't hate the aspect of maybe fading Adesanya. I think he's going to be one of the higher-owned fighters on the slate just because people do want action to that main event. People are going to want to play Adesanya. He's a big name, obviously 20-0, well-known guy. So I might even fade Adesanya. I'm not sure yet. I definitely get why you could. I mean, get away from the ownership. If he does not get that early finish, does it pay off 9,200? I really don't think so. He's not going to go out there and wrestle. He's not going to go out there and grapple, get control time. Outside of an early finish from Adesanya, I don't really see him paying off the 9,200. But then again, you do get 5 rounds. Those significant strikes are going to add up. I don't think he's going to score horrible in a win, but I am kind of concerned at the pace of this fight. If it is a slow-paced fight, he's not going to be optimal. So I will have some as of now, but I wouldn't be shocked if later in the week I completely faded Adesanya just because of the ownership and just because I don't really see him knocking out Blachowicz, at least early for me. So. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I'd probably take the savings for Blachowicz honestly at 7,000. Next, we have Askar Askarov, 8,300. And, I'm kind of on the Benavidez side, but if Askarov does win here, he's going to score well. He's a very good takedown guy. He's going to go out here, try to get takedowns at Benavidez. And Benavidez's takedown defense isn't great, but his scrambling ability is fantastic. So I can see Askarov, mixing in a ton of takedowns, racking up that. I don't see him getting much control time. I see this being a pretty high-paced fight as well. So, yeah, if he wins, he does score well. I'm personally on the Benavidez side myself as far as a straight pick. But I definitely get the reason for playing an Askar Askarov due to that takedown upside, due to that maybe a little bit control time as well and a lot of volume. So, and also the chin of Benavidez. Maybe Benavidez's chin is completely shot. We've seen him knocked out twice. Figueiredo put a beating on him. So, yeah, I don't hate Askar Askarov as a tournament play at 8,300. Next, we have Amanda Lemos, 7,800. I do think this is going to be extremely low owned. I mean, this is probably, honestly, like the worst fight on the card. Lemos versus Souza, but Souza's going to have a massive speed advantage. I think she's going to be the stronger fighter. I think she's going to be better on the mat. I think she's going to be able to get takedowns here. And I can see her getting takedowns, staying on top of Souza, landing some ground and pound as well, seeing her comfortably winning this fight. So I do think she's safe. I like the 8,700. I do think she has some upside with those takedowns, with that grappling. And as we've seen with the new DraftKings scoring, that stuff adds up. It really does. So I like Lemos here. The output on the feet is not even going to be close. I think Lemos has a massive advantage with the output. Souza lands about 2.2 significant strikes per minute compared to Lemos is about 6. So, yeah, give me Lemos here, 8,700 as a very low-owned play with what I think is some pretty decent upside. Getting into our live dogs here, we'll start with Aljamain Sterling, 7,800. Like I mentioned, I like the price tag for him. I think this is a very close fight. I think either guy can really win. I do expect this to go into the later rounds, and I expect a ton of volume from each guy. So if Sterling wins at 7,800, no matter what, I think he's paying off the price tag, no question about it. Maybe he does mix in some takedowns as well. Maybe he does get some control time. But yeah, I like Sterling as an underdog here, on DraftKings especially. As far as like a straight bet, probably not going to bet either side here, but that 7,800 price tag is pretty intriguing considering Jan is 600 more, and I do think this is a 50-50 fight. So, yeah, I'm definitely liking the Sterling side on DraftKings. I think there's a ton of upside, especially in 5 rounds. I think there's going to be a ton of volume, and that all is going to add up as well. And I think Sterling is probably the more likely guy to go for takedowns also. So, yeah, I like Sterling there at 7,800. Thiago Santos touched on it a little bit. If he wins, it's going to be my knockout. A really good finisher. Rakic did get knocked down by Devin Clark, and Santos has probably 3 times the power of a Devin Clark there. So, yeah, it's definitely possible, but I just think Rakic is going to be smart enough to come out there, take down Santos, finish him on the mat. Rakic's never been knocked out. But Santos, he's always a guy that's live for a knockout. He's always a guy that has a puncher's chance. And in this fight, I wouldn't be completely shocked if he did knock him out. So I will have some Santos, 7,600, not a bad dog to look at. Yeah, Kyler Phillips, 7,400. This is going to be one of the higher-owned dogs on the slate. I see everybody on Kyler Phillips. I'm kind of going the other way here. There are some question marks for me with Kyler Phillips. Just fighting not so great competition. Fighting guys like Gabriel Silva, fighting guys like Cameron Else, guys like that, and then going to guys like Yadong Song, which Song, training at Team Alpha Mill, very legit camp there. I do think is going to come in here with a really good game plan. The dude striking's legit, has a ton of power. The only concerns for me is possibly the cardio of Song, which it's not awful, but we did see him slow down in the 3rd round in the Vera fight and the Stamen fight as well. But I think a lot of people are taking too much into him winning close fights against Vera and Stamen. I mean, yes, I thought Vera won that fight. Yes, I thought Stamen won that fight and beat Song. And I thought he lost those 2 fights, but he's going to really close fights with very good competition. I mean, Marlon Vera is absolutely no joke. And Cody Stamen is absolutely no joke. And Stamen's never been knocked out. Marlon Vera's never been knocked out, and I wouldn't be shocked if Song did find a knockout here, but Phillips, if he does win, he's going to score well. I mean, his style's built for DraftKings here. I mean, he's going to throw a ton of output, land 6.2 significant strikes per minute. Takedowns, if he can get takedowns on Song, which that's what I'm struggling with, because Song's takedown defense does look really good. He was taken down 5 times by Cody Stamen, but, I mean, there's no shame in that. Cody Stamen's a very good wrestler, so I'm curious if Phillips can get down Song. And if he does, Phillips has a really good ground game. So, yeah, I'll play some Phillips. I'm just concerned about, how owned he's going to be. And I really kind of like the Song side as well. So, but I will have a little bit because I do think if he does win, he scores well and he is so cheap. So, not a bad play there. Alon Cruz, 7,300. Yeah, so there's question marks with Euros Medic. And you're getting a big savings here on Cruz, $1,600 savings. Cruz is somebody that's pretty dangerous himself. And the question marks with Medic, he's never went to the 3rd round. He's never been to a decision. He's been into the second round once, and that was 30 seconds in the second round. So I'm curious to see what happens if Cruz is able to extend this fight into the later rounds, make it a dirty fight, grimy fight, maybe, wear out Medic a little bit. And I wouldn't be shocked if he came in here and took down Medic as well. I think that would be a really smart game plan. He tried to take down Spike Carlisle, did not work, but Medic has been taken down at quite a few times on the regional scene against very low-level competition on the Alaskan fight scene. So, yeah, I don't hate Cruz. 7,300, I think it's a very good price. I think that he will be very low owned, and the line is closing up a little bit. So, due to there being question marks on Medic, I don't hate the Cruz side at that price. So he's going to be something I'm really looking at. I think if he wins, there's probably a decent amount of upside as well. He's extremely high volume. So yeah, give me some Alon Cruz. I don't hate it. And then Rogerio Bontorin, 7,700. Another guy that's going to be pretty high owned. Another really public dog that I see a ton of people on. And I get it. Kai Kara-France hasn't been all that impressive throughout his career, but he does have a 90% takedown defense. And if Bontorin does not get Kai Kara-France down, I think he's going to really struggle in the striking, as Kai Kara-France, somebody that has a ton of volume, he's going to be the much better striker, and just not impressed with Bontorin's striking. I think Bontorin's probably the more dangerous guy, but do I see him knocking out Kai Kara-France? Probably not. But then again, if Bontorin does win, it probably means he's getting takedowns. Maybe he finds a finish. So I don't hate it at 7,700, but I am going the other way as far as a pick in Kai Kara-France, because I don't think Bontorin's wrestling's all that great. I mean, it's good. He's very strong, but I'm not overly impressed. His grappling's very good, but I don't see him being able to hold down Kai Kara-France, somebody that has very good takedown defense, somebody that has very good scrambling ability, and a really good get-up game as well. So, but I will have some Bontorin. I will have some Bontorin because I think if he does win, it's going to be takedowns. Not much output, but takedowns. Maybe he finds a finish as well. Maybe he finds a sub. France, I believe, has been submitted 3 times before. So, yeah, it's possible, but I don't love it. All right, getting into our pump plays. Have 2 here. Jan Blachowicz, 7,000. And I don't know. Jan Blachowicz is going to be the bigger guy in this fight. At least, the bigger guy, but Adesanya is still going to have 2 inches of height. He's going to have 2 inches of reach, but this is going to be the biggest guy that Adesanya has fought by a pretty decent margin here. And I don't know, I think if Blachowicz comes in here with the game plan of pushing Adesanya up against the cage, getting takedowns, I think he's very live to win. It's just something we haven't seen as of late from Blachowicz, and I think it's going to be easier said than done with Adesanya being so fast, being able to get out of the way, circle out. So, I don't know, but I mean, this is a guy that I keep sleeping on. I mean, fight after fight, I keep picking against Jan Blachowicz, and he keeps knocking these guys out. I mean, the Polish power, I did not believe in it until he knocked out Dominic Reyes. That's when I finally said, yep, okay, I get it. Polish power, I'm with you there. So I don't know. I think I'd rather be inclined to pay the 7,000 for Blachowicz other than like the 9,200 for Adesanya, just because I like other plays up in the 9,000 range. And if Blachowicz does win, he's not going to win a decision. If he wins, it's going to be either by a knockout, maybe a submission as well. So I will have some Blachowicz. I don't hate it as a pump play. As far as Drew Dober goes, I have to mention him here, 6,800. If he wins, it's going to be by knockout. Makhachev has been knocked out in his only loss. Drew Dober coming off of a couple fight knockout streak as well, so he definitely has that power. I personally think that Makhachev's going to take him down. He won't get those opportunities, but he's somebody that if you're looking for a guy with a puncher's chance, a guy with some power, Dober is definitely that guy. And if Makhachev does stand with him too long, Dober definitely has a window to get that knockout there. So I don't hate it, but I will have a few Dober shares for sure. All right, getting into our fades. I might be adding some throughout the week, but as of now, Megan Anderson, 6,600, just not going to play any of her. I really don't see her winning. Pretty confident in the Nunes side, and I mean, anything can happen. This is MMA, but I just don't see it, honestly, unless like Nunes completely gasses out or something crazy like that happens, unless Nunes gets caught with something on the way in. I just don't see Anderson winning, and I'm just going to save my lineups and put them elsewhere. Might be throwing in Israel Adesanya in the fades. I don't know yet. But I'm not as high on Adesanya. At least, the ownership's going to be pretty crazy on I imagine. So I might put Adesanya in the fade bin there. Other guy I was looking at to maybe not play much of, Sean Brady, 9,300. I don't really see a finish in that fight. He has been scoring well, but this is going to be his toughest task with Jake Matthews. But yeah, pretty comfortable with fading Megan Anderson here. All right, guys, that's about it. Always a reminder to become a member of my Patreon, which now is a great time because it is the first of the month. You get 4 cards, 4 really good cards coming up. Lots of value there. You get full access to my model with all the stats for all the fighters, premium projections, GPP lineup percentages, my DraftKings article, my Patreon-only Fight Day live stream, and access to Discord as well. Lots of great stuff. Great community we have over there. Almost to 300 members. So sign up. All the good stuff. And yeah, comment down your DraftKings usernames. I'll get you guys into the contest. And other than that, if you guys can leave a like on the video, it would help out a ton. Subscribe if you have not yet, would help out a ton. Let's get 10K, hopefully, by fight time. And that's about it, guys. And good luck on Saturday on this very good card.